This is my Dell Chromebook, version 5400, and today I'm going to try to install Linux onto it, doing a dual boot, installed internally into the hard drive. I made a walkthrough for it, sort of. It involves using
Screen reader on Chrome OS. Chromebox is primarily used by people with
using mrchromebox to install rw_legacy boot firmware, and then using Chrx to repartition and install Linux. So we'll go through step by step. First is a thank you to mrchromebox as well as Chrx. Thank you for creating these tools that allow me to do full Linux on a Chromebook. That only cost me $75. Here's an overview of what I'm going to go through. First is the Prepwork, which involves going into developer mode. And then the next step is to install the firmware using mrchromebox's utility, using Chrx to repartition the hard drive and install Linux. And finally, the last part is fixing Grub bootloader. For some reason, it doesn't get modified properly and it won't work. That's probably the hardest part of this tutorial. Or walkthrough, you can call it anything. I just want to go through the whole process, and if anyone has a Dell 5400 or Dell 5300 and they want to run Linux, they could use my this video to help them. So first is the prep work. I need to get into developer mode, which is to first start recovery. So recovery is escape and refresh together, and you press and hold it while it's turned off, and then you turn it on. Let me go turn off the laptop right now. The trick here is you actually have to hold the power button for a few seconds, otherwise it won't boot into recovery well. So press and hold escape and refresh. And then I'm going to press and hold the power button for a few seconds. You can't see it because I'm holding the thing. But I'm going to hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4 until I see the screen turn on. And then I let go of the power button just now. If you don't do it where you hold the power button, it'll go straight into Chrome OS normally. So I just want to give that small tip. From here, I can initiate going into turn off OS recovery. You need to press Control D to, as in developer mode, Control D together. And this screen appears. It says to press power to turn off OS verification. That was my next step, turn off OS verification. And it should reboot afterwards. Or maybe not, I don't know. OS verification is off, and then now, if I go back over here, the next step is to enable developer mode by pressing Control D. You could also wait, and it'll start developer mode, but press Control D. And then this screen appears. In about 30 seconds, it's going to start. And so there's a timer over here, and over here on the top right will be a percentage bar telling you how much progress has occurred. I'm waiting. It's 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It takes about, in the slide that I put, I say it takes around 5 to 15 minutes, but it really takes like 10 to 20 minutes. You can see it's preparing developer mode, and that's it, 0%. It'll slowly increase, so I'll come back in 20 minutes and we'll continue once it's rebooted into the recovery screen, and I can just press Control D to start again. It finished and it's booted up back to its OS verification screen. Pressing Control D again or waiting will take you into recovery finally. Into developer mode. And it'll boot into what looks like normal Chrome OS. So that's it. We're done with the prep work. Here you see. And we can start with the fun stuff, which is installing the new firmware. And so we need to go mrchromebox to run the utility. So previously you could use Chrx or terminal session, but they mentioned using VT2 terminal and running this script over here at the very top. The very first step I need to do is I need to turn on the internet. So it's not connected, so I'm going to go connect to the internet right now. So once the internet is connected, I can now proceed with going into VT2 terminal, which is just Control-Alt F2. Okay? Control-Alt F2 takes me to developer console. And the login is Chronos. Put that in, press enter. And we're in here. Now I can just run the, the script, and it should work fine. So I'm going to write it in right now. mrchromebox mentioned that this is -LO, not 0, -LO. And so this first part of the script is downloading it, and then the second part over here, the sudo bash, is running the script. I got it all typed out. I'm going to enter. Again, you need internet connection because it's downloading it from the internet. And I'm choosing to go the firmware RW legacy route because then I don't have to make any hardware changes. I think they said this is more of like a soft firmware change versus a hard firmware change. So the chances of bricking are pretty low. So at this point, I'm going to choose option 1, which is to install RW Legacy 1. It says 1 over there now. Press enter. And then, yes, I want to be able to do this. RW Legacy doesn't allow you to install Windows, which is fine. I just want Linux for today. As an aside, I was actually going to try to install some VMware type of software and do a virtual machine with Windows. Previously, I tried using Crostini as well as Crouton, but because those are, chroot or virtual machines, you're running it one within another, it's pretty slow. So this takes a while, a few minutes. And that means after we do this, we'll be able to boot. After we do this, we'll be able to boot into a flash drive with Linux, the Linux Live installer flash drives. We can use that after this. So it's nice. It's actually taking longer than usual to install the firmware, but that's fine. Okay, it finished, and then I can return to the main menu. I'm pressing enter right now, and I'm going to quit. If you want to go from terminal back into Chrome, you just have to press Control-Alt F1 instead, and I'm back to Chromebook. I'm going to go ahead and restart the machine, just as a safety precaution. And also to show, I'm going to show you the it's not restarting or shutting down. Just finished step 1, which is installing RW Legacy. And I thought I might as well show you that I can boot into Linux now. I'm going to put this Lubuntu, or maybe it's Kubuntu, I think it's Lubuntu, installation. Press power, And on OS verification, I can press Control L. Control L. It's going to ask me what to choose. So I'm going to choose 1. After you press Control L, I'm going to press 1 to go into Core. And it's now booting from the flash drive. I can choose from any of these settings, and so I can try, let's say, a safe mode. So we didn't have this before. We weren't able to go into the legacy boot screen and try out Linux, but at least now I can, within RW legacy firmware, I can boot into Linux using a live flash installation CD, and it boots pretty quick if you have a USB 3. Here I am. So let me go shut that off and we'll go to the next part, which is this. Prepare the internal hard drive using chrx.org. So pressing Control D to go into developer mode. And I want to install Chrx, or download it first, and then run it to install a new partition. If you scroll down here, it mentions how to run it, and it's just this command over here. So again, once we're in Chrome, we're going to open VT2 terminal with Control-Alt F2. Control-Alt F2. If you need to go back to Chrome, you can press Control-Alt F1. Control-Alt F2 takes you to VT2 Developer Console. At this point, I'm going to log in again as Chronos. Sorry, messed up. Chronos. I just pressed Control C to restart it. Okay, so now I'm going to go about and run that one script, curl https so-and-so. Let me write that in. Short explanation is the first part downloads the file, I think. Part of it is extraction. And then the last command over here is to run chrx. So maybe this first part is downloading it. Anyways, wrote it down, press enter. This is where I get to partition it. I have a 256 gigabyte hard drive. I'm going to dedicate 170 gigabytes to Linux, and the rest is going to be the Chrome OS partition. Comes over here. And then I press enter. It's really quick, this whole part over here. Finishes, and it's going to reboot on its own, I believe. See, it reboots on its own. So that's that part. I've just repartitioned the drive. When I press Control D to go in, or wait for it to go into developer mode, I'm going to do Control D just to save some time. It's actually going to repair itself now because Chrome has detected that the partitions have changed, so that it wants to make sure everything's working. It won't take as long as when we went to developer mode. You see there's a time over here as well as percentage over here. It's going to take around 5 to 10 minutes to finish, so I'll come back once it's finished, which will take me to the next step. We just finished preparing the hard drive by repartitioning it. It's rebooting and repairing the Chrome OS. And finally, the next step will be running the same script all over again. Kind of strange, huh? You're going to run the script again, but this time it's going to install Linux into partition 7, since we're using Chrx. I say partition 7 because, I think partition 7 because Mr. Chromebox always mentions that when you use Chrx. And mine happened to be in partition 7. With that said and done, when we run it, we can choose a different Linux environment. It's the same command that we ran, but at the very end you can put a -d and then name the environment you want to run: Lubuntu, Ubuntu, Fedora. I didn't have any success with Fedora, and with Dell 5400 and maybe 5300, these are slightly newer. They're still old, but they're new enough where they won't run Gallium OS. So if you try to run without the -d, it's going to try to install Gallium, and that's not supported supposedly. I tried installing it. I had issues, but maybe I'll give it a try again. This time I know how to modify the boot, so maybe I'm going to try Gallium. No, I don't want to try it because I want to make sure that this actually installs okay. So I'll come back once it's all done. Right now it's already at 50%, so I'm almost there. It's at 98% right now. Any minute it's going to finish and then reboot into the OS verification splash screen. And then we can work our magic of installing Linux. For today, I'm going to try installing Ubuntu, just because I can. It should finish anytime. Oh, it has a timer over here. It's 30 more seconds. I think it finished already. So sorry about the wait. Okay, it's rebooting right now. So I'll try to be quick. We're going to press Control D to go into developer mode. Control D, or you could wait. It'll eventually go into developer mode if you just wait. Okay, since it repaired itself, the problem is Wi-Fi is out. We need Wi-Fi to download Chrx again. So I need to connect to the internet again. Let me go do that. It's connected to Wi-Fi. And now I'm going to press Ctrl-Alt F2 to go into developer mode. Developer console. I'm over here. Type in Chronos. And press enter. And then I need to rerun the curl command that was in Chrx. Let me go type that in. And I'm going to do -d lubuntu. Typed it in. That's it. Again, remember, if you remove the end part, it's going to, by default, install Gallium OS. Today I want to install Ubuntu, so I'm going to press enter now. Everything looks fine. I'm going to press enter. And now it's going to go through the process of installing everything. There's probably going to come a point where it's going to ask about keeping something or other, and the default is no. So I just ran the default, which is no. You'll see in a bit. It's going to take a while because it's a few gigabytes, and I'm not close to my router right now. This is the part. It's asking about lognd.conf. Do you want to change it? By default is to keep it. So I'm going to put N, enter, and let it work its magic. So once this all finishes and you reboot, supposedly you have Linux installed onto the 7th partition. I'm going to kind of go to my computer over here so I can show you. So now at step 5, when this finishes, you're done. You've installed everything, but you're not done. So for the Dell 5400, and probably the same for the Dell 5300, the Grub loader isn't correctly set up, and so we need to fix that somehow. If you're really good with Linux and installing Linux, then you know how to fix the Grub loader. For me, I was having issues having it correctly link everything, if that's the correct term. So part of my tutorial is going to be talking about first making space on the FE partition. So for the Dell 5400, the FE partition is on the 12th partition, and you'll see the name is going to be /dev/nvme0n1p12. The drive itself is without the P. It's just like this, but the partition is P whatever. So on the 12th partition is the FE partition. There's a tool that allows me to fix the boot part, i.e. the Grub bootloader, but the problem is when I run it, if it's already full, it can't properly fix it. So what I need to do in this first step is go into the FE partition and delete some stuff, because I'm not going to use this existing bootloader anyways. I can go into the FE partition, delete some files to make space, and then the next step is repairing the Grub bootloader using a tool called boot repair inside of one of the Linux install flash drives that you can create yourself. This part I'm just talking about the partitions. It's the 7th partition where Linux is installed, and you can Google it with Mr. Chromebox mentioning, like, if you run Chrx to repartition, it repartitions the 7th partition, so it's larger. So it just resizes it, I think. Again, I'm not an expert on this, and again, I want to reiterate, there's probably a better way to reinstall Grub bootloader. From my perspective, I'm just trying to do what's easiest for me. So for me, it was creating an installation USB flash drive for Linux Mint, and then booting into it, and finally running the boot repair tool. You do have to copy and paste some Linux commands, but you don't necessarily need to know what it means. But once you finish that all up, you're set, and you can do dual boot. So just waiting on this to finish, and we'll come back. While everything is trying to install over there with Chrx, I'm going to spend my time over here right now to install Linux Mint Cinnamon onto this flash drive. I'll need two things. One is the image burner, which is Rufus over here. So go ahead and download Rufus. You can download from over here. This is for the Windows side. So I download the, I think, portable version. And then I need to download Linux Mint. And so I downloaded Cinnamon Edition over here for Linux Mint. And somewhere on here is a place where I can download the file. I don't know where it's at. Over here. So I can just click on here. I clicked on that host and it downloaded it. So I have the files over here in my download Linux Rufus folder. So download that stuff. Again, I downloaded over here for Linux, and I downloaded over here. Went over here for Rufus. Inserting my flash drive. I'm going to open Rufus over here. Yes. No, that's fine. That takes me to the Rufus application. Here's my flash drive. You just have to find the right flash drive. Mine's the 64 gigabyte flash drive. Disk or ISO image. So I need to select that. So here in my downloads Linux Rufus folder is the Linux ISO file. So I select it. This is Linux Mint Cinnamon. Click open. And I use all the defaults, and then I just start over here. It mentions this. I just click OK. It mentions about the Grub loader. Sure, we'll click yes for this so that it gets the most up-to-date version. Are you ready? And this starts the whole process. So this will take 5 to 10 minutes. You can see it's starting to do it. Should be somewhat quick because this is running off USB 3.0. And so it was actually quicker than I thought it'd be. It took about 5 minutes or something to install lubuntu. And you can see over here it says lubuntu is installed. Press Ctrl L to boot into it. And I'll show you that I can't boot into it actually because of Grub bootloader isn't set up properly. So at OS verification I need to press Ctrl L, Ctrl L, press 1 to go into Tyanacore. Pressed 1 already, and it's booting this. Now this is a problem. It really quickly it went to image 1, image 2, or image A or image B, and then it loaded whatever was the default, and it's going to be stuck in this blank screen. It's because the Grub bootloader doesn't know, where to get the right files, and we need to fix that. So I need to press and hold the power button, and I don't need my flash drive yet, the one that has Linux Mint Cinnamon. It's pointless for me to run it because right now the FE partition is so full. I'm going to boot into Chrome OS and go into Developer Console again. So I need to press Ctrl D. I might need internet, so again, always check to see that there's internet. If there's internet, I'm going to go Control Alt F2. Control Alt F2. Takes me to Developer Console, and again I have to log in as Chronos. And so this next step is where I need to mount the FE partition and delete some files. First part of mounting it is I need a place where I'm going to mount it. So I'm going to make this directory in the temp folder called A. Easy enough. I mentioned that the partition I need to access is the FD partition, but let me show you how you can find it. You can go do a sudo fdisk -l pipe grep chrome OS. Okay, I didn't find it. Maybe I need it. Maybe it's case sensitive. There, it is case sensitive. Actually, I don't want Chrome OS. Sorry about that. I wanted the FE partition, right? Now, if I didn't do the pipe part and I just did this longhand, I get this thing, and what I want to do is figure out where the FE partition is. And so it's the 12th partition, and then it gives you the device name. Again, I could have done pipe rep FE with the capital EFI, like that. can see. The problem is that 32 megabytes is already kind of full, and I need to make it a little smaller. So again, I created a temp A directory with the make directory command, if you remember in the very beginning. I need to mount this drive now so I can delete some files. So I'm going to do a sudo mount /dev, so I need the device name, nvme 0 and 1p12, so that's the name of the device, and where I want to mount it, which is temp A. That's it. Now I can cd into temp A. The files I want to delete are in root directory syslinux, so I need to cd into /temp A /sys Linux, I think. Hopefully that's all right. And LSL. So you can see already there's only 32 megabytes open, and these two files, vm.linz.a and b, these two files are taking 12 megabytes of the 32 megabyte FE partition. So I just want to remove those. So again, I'm going to do a sudo rm vm star, nothing special. I'm just going to delete those two files, and that'll clear up some space so that I can use the bootloader repair to fix my problems. That's it. I'm done with that side. Now I'm going to get my USB flash drive for Linux Mint Cinnamon and boot into it and use the boot repair tool. I'm not going to fool around with grub install, grub update, none of those commands in here because I'm just not smart enough. So going back. Rufus Portable is just about to finish. It's still finishing the copying files at 96%. So I'm just going to wait a little longer for us to finish, and then we will reboot the Chromebook into this Linux installation image. It just finished. You can see it says one device found, finished. I'm going to go ahead and close it. Pop out the USB flash drive. It's all done. Obviously I should have took it out correct. I'm still trying to repair the Grub bootloader. Again, a step before that was I removed some files from the FE partition, the 12th FE partition, and now I've inserted my, what's it called, flash drive for Linux Mint Cinnamon. I'm going to boot into it. Boot into OS verification and then press Ctrl L. And then press 1 to go into Tyanacore. Hopefully it automatically boots into the flash drive. So it says it failed. And so for this Dell 5400, one of the problems is with this Linux version, it doesn't read it well. So here's a, going to press escape to go into, I was hoping to go into the boot manager. Let's turn this off. It's still giving me this error because it can't find the FE file. So there's a brief aside. This is the type of problems that we run into. Again, I'm going to go into Control L and press 1. But after I press 1, I'm going to press escape to go into the FE bootloader. So Control L. Right after I press 1, I'm going to press escape a few times. And that takes me to Dell Serian. So I didn't mention this in the slides because I was just hoping it'd boot up okay with this USB 3.0 flash drive, but it didn't. Now, if I want to boot this flash drive, even with this Linux version, all I have to do is go into boot manager over here. So I'm going to go down, 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 go down until I hit boot manager and press enter. And they have an option to boot from file, which is kind of nice because I just have to find the FE file, FE boot file, and then I can run it. You can see this says USB. These are different partitions in my hard drive, which I don't need to access. And so I'd mentioned that the FE partition is like the 12th partition. I'll show you. This is the FE partition, and it says Gpart 12. But anyways, I'm going to go into that Linux Mint, which is the USB drive, and press enter. And it shows the file directory. I need to find the FE folder, FE file to boot it, and it's probably under FE. So I just use the arrow keys to go down. Press enter to go in. FE and then boot, enter. And you can try each one until you can find the one that boots into Linux Mint, but the one that works for me is Grub x64. And then from here, I'm just going to use compatibility mode because I just want to make sure it boots. Hopefully it boots okay. I've been having issues where it does this, so it freezes for some reason. So I have to redo this. I'm going to power down and then redo the process. Just press the power button right now. Control L. Press 1, then escape. Go down to boot manager. Boot from file, press enter on here, go to FE, boot, and then I want to go Grub x64. And again, I don't know why it freezes. I could put into verbose mode and try to troubleshoot, but this time it's working. Everything's booting, loading up okay. So this is what you should see instead of that white screen. It's very inconsistent. It happens sometimes and it doesn't happen. But you can use a different Linux installation to boot from USB, just as long as it has a boot repair tool. Or, like I mentioned in my slide, you can do this from command line and try to repair the Grub installer. I need to go grab a mouse right now because the mouse doesn't work with this. I just plugged in the USB mouse over here, and I'm going to navigate to the bottom left, and you'll see over here is a boot repair tool which will be running. So again, I clicked on Linux Mint, and then there's boot repair. You can obviously do the boot repair through command line if you want to, but again, I'm stupid. I just have to run across this, which is, for me, a lot easier because I don't know what half of these commands do. Sure, yes. Oh, it needs me to connect to the internet. Over here is the internet connection screen. So I'm going to connect to the internet right now. It connected. Let's go back to clicking on here. And then click boot repair. Yes. Okay. It's going to loop. I'm just going to finally say no, and we're going to start the boot repair. It keeps on asking me if I want to update. So eventually I just click no. Okay. Now to repair the boot on this computer, I'm going to click on advanced options. That way you can see what's going on. It's going to reinstall Grub, which you want to do because it's not working properly. Use the standard FE file, which we want to do. And then over here on the Grub location, it's going to grab the OS from the 7th partition, and it even shows which Ubuntu it is. And it's going to separate the FE partition into number 12, which I'd mentioned we want to use number 12. Click Apply. So there is going to be some Linux commands that we need to run. And so there's going to be a pop-up here coming soon. Voila. So we need to copy all of this all together and paste it into terminal or console. And then eventually there's going to be a screen over here. We want to click yes about removing the Grub2 files. So luckily there's a terminal session right over here. I can click on it. Voila. You can see it's mint. Using my right mouse button, this doesn't have right, but this Apple mouse, I'm clicking on the right over here. I can copy the whole thing. So I'm going to copy, left mouse click over here, right mouse click to get the shortcut menu, and paste. You can't do a Control V, it doesn't work. Just right mouse click and press paste with the left mouse button and press enter. So you can do this all at once. You don't have to do it one at a time. I didn't know that before. I was doing it one at a time. It was kind of tedious. And so this is the screen that I mentioned before over here. They say press tab, press the tab key, which I'm going to do, pressing tab. So it scrolls over there, and then press enter keys. And it's going to finish up. And that's it for this first part. I'm going to go back to the boot repair screen. And there's a forward button. Once you finish all that, click the forward button. And it says this. So I need to do this command. So I'm selecting the whole thing. Right click, copy, left click, left mouse click, right mouse click, paste. You can try typing it out if you want to, but I'm using the mouse to copy and paste. Press enter. And I'm almost done. To me, this is a lot easier than trying to do it myself. Clicking on the boot repair. Since that finished, I'm going forward. And this is going to do the last part. I don't have to do anything. It's going to do its magic. So in theory, I shouldn't have to do this Grub bootloader repair. Hopefully you don't have to go through it with your Chromebook. But for the Dell 5400, I had to do this. And I'm assuming this probably happens for the Dell 5300. Do you want to upload? Sure. We'll just click yes. You can do no also. It doesn't matter. I think if you click no, it's going to copy the log files onto the FE folder or something on partition 7. So, I mean, this is it. It's repaired the Grub bootloader. It's going to give an error message. You can actually view the file if you wanted to. But we're done. We're done at this part. We have technically repaired the Grub bootloader. And I'm going to, once it tells me to remove the flash drive, I'm going to remove it. Please remove installation medium. You can remove the, what's it called, mouse. Press enter. And officially, we are done. So, use the repair tool, and that's it. No crazy Linux commands, and I'm done. We can finally officially use the computer. It's dual booted right now. So first thing is I'm going to try to boot into Linux. Hopefully it works. Like I said, I've been having issues. it's going to go into OS verification. I'm going to do Control L, press 1. Ta-da! It's booting into the Grub bootloader correctly for Lubuntu. I'm not going to do anything. The bar is moving, and it's going to boot into Ubuntu right now. As I mentioned before, sometimes it boots to the screen. I'm not sure why it's... Oh. When it boots into that white screen, I don't think it's working. So I'm going to have to do it again. I think it's not working. We could wait for a few minutes, but I don't feel like doing that. I'm going to power off again. I thought this was just a problem with Ubuntu, but it's also happening for my Ubuntu installation right now. It's kind of embarrassing. And I'd have to troubleshoot it in verbose mode. Okay, it's shut off. It's hopefully the next time it runs correctly. Getting Control L ready. Control L. 1. I'm going to press enter to boot it anyways. See, it should start showing a bunch of text instead, and then this. So if it gets this far, it's booted correctly. If it doesn't, then it didn't boot correctly. So the login is Chrx, and the password is Chrx. The bad thing about Ubuntu, this version, is it boots into a backlight problem, which can be fixed by adjusting the brightness. So I'm going to type in the password, which is just Chrx, and enter. So I put in the password, enter. And now it's pretty hard to see, but I need to go in here and adjust the brightness. One thing you can do is try to memorize it, or if you can find the terminal session. I think over here is terminal or console or something. So I'm going to try running that instead. I just have to set the backlight. Man, this is tough. Can't even see the mouse cursor. Well, that opened that. That's not what I want. I want a terminal. That's not it. I'm just going to do the long way. Thanks for putting up with me. I think it's the fourth option from bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then, so the top one, fourth top. And then if you can make that out, it's brightness over here. I was using the live CD to compare how to get there. And from here, you can adjust the backlight. And it's working. There's my Ubuntu installation. I can connect to Wi-Fi. Darn, it switched itself. I didn't save it. Oh man. So this was probably the biggest problem for me, is booting into, and touchscreen isn't even working. And I'm going to press close. I'm going to enable Wi-Fi. Manager says Wi-Fi is on. Hopefully Firefox loads up. It might not load up. So I need to install Firefox. But anyways, I'll show you that I can open up something. So I'm going to open Office LibreCalc, and you can see it boots up. Sorry about all that. I thought I just might want to mention that problem. So let me go log out and show you that Chrome OS. So leave, shut down. Chrome OS is still working. And so I need to either wait or press Control D, which I'm getting Control D ready. Oh, didn't really shut off yet. Pressing Control D to go into developer mode. And there, Chrome OS is still working. It's just not taking me to the OS repair screen. And that's it. I just wanted to show that it is booting into either Linux or Chrome OS. So at the splash screen for OS verification, if I press Control D or just wait, it should go into regular Chrome OS. But if I want to go on to Linux, I just need to press Control L. That takes me to legacy boot, and then press 1, and then it'll take me to Grub bootloader. That's it. That's my sort of walkthrough, and hopefully this might help some people out. So there's actually 4 issues. One is installing the legacy firmware, boot firmware, so I can boot into Control L. Number 2 is installing Linux using Chrx. Once it's installed, number 3, I needed to fix the Grub bootloader somehow, which I showed using Linux Mint Cinnamon, the installation flash drive over there. And number 4 is once you boot into Ubuntu, for some reason Dell 5400, the backlight is turned off completely. So you have to adjust the brightness and turn on backlight. You can actually do backlight with X backlight space dash set space and then a number like 5 or 20 or even up to 100, and it'll set the backlight so it's working. So that's it. Hopefully this helps someone. I'm gonna call it a day.